Do you want to start?
Okay.
Okay.
Welcome everybody, welcome listeners. This is episode number 7. I am Juncal, one of your hosts, and I am here with Matt.
Hey, I'm Matt. Welcome. First time in the video.
First time in the video, that's totally true.
Yeah, for the ones that are listening, now on our YouTube channel you can check us with the visuals. So it's been a while. We've been trying around, but hopefully today we'll succeed.
Exactly, and be like actual YouTubers.
Yeah, and podcasters.
So
we really are striving for fame.
Exactly. Okay, so we have a topic today.
Yeah.
Which is shape up.
Why we switched basically from Scrum or any more well-known methodologies to shape up that may be a bit less known, but still
Exactly.
is interesting.
Yeah, probably a lot of listeners, or I don't know, some of them might not know what shape up is.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's an agile methodology, right?
Yeah, I would say so. It's an agile methodology introduced by a company called Basecamp. It's basically a collection of techniques we've been using to build their products, like either Basecamp, but also like different products that they had through the years. They published a book about it some time ago. We've read it.
Yes, I read it too.
And then we changed it to the methodology which we used in our team nowadays. But maybe before jumping into what does it mean and what it is, maybe let's talk a bit about why did we change. I mean,
exactly what was happening before the change.
Yeah, because just to add to this, like the shape up main pitch or punchline is like stop running cycles and start like shipping meaningful products. So
exactly.
Instead of running circles, you should start just shipping meaningful work to people.
Yeah.
So problems. Why did we moved?
It was okay. So we've been using shape up for what, like half a year already, maybe less, or
something like this, more or less half a year,
okay.
Let's say. Yeah.
So last year we were doing more like traditional Scrum.
Yeah, Scrum ban, like a Scrum, but with Kanban board, like one of the mutations that are pretty popular on the markets. I can start that,
What was not working for you? Like what were, or I don't know, or how was it?
Yeah. So the main assumption we had was like that the time it's gonna take us to build something is infinite, or we can afford as much time as needed to build something really great. Doesn't mean we wanted to build everything like in a waterfall. So we spent 6 years building and then we ship. It's still agile, but the idea was like, if we believe a project gonna take us 6 months, let's invest those 6 months and spend the 6 months for iterating there. So we were thinking like, okay, time is infinite and then the scope is finite. So we were like, okay, we were thinking that a lot of times we are sure what we want to build and this needs to be exactly this, let's build it. I was coming to the team with like, hey, those are the things we need to build. Please start building it. And then since we've been working more in a Scrum ban, we didn't have planning, right? So it was like, hey, those are the problems to solve, like things we need to build. And then whenever we were as a team seeing that, hey, okay, the number of things to build is going small, then I was bringing new things to build. And we've been doing different things around this. And for me, the biggest problem of this was like, sometimes it's not easy to say when something gonna be shipped when you give infinite time to team. So harder to plan. But also the ownership, I would say, wasn't there. Like a lot of stuff was owned by me, basically, and the team was more to build stuff. I would say those were the two main problems. Now, when I need to speak about it, those were two main problems from my side that. It not necessarily worked. And then other things like you usually have in software development, so you have a project that you initially estimate for 6 weeks or 6 months, let's say, and then it ended up in a year-long project and still not finished. So classic.
Classic one, yeah.
And how did it look from your perspective?
So from my perspective, that very same flow looked, well, as you said. So yourself, product manager, would come with the next problems to solve, with a story behind, and most of the times, not always, a kind of ready solution or half-ready solution. Why? Because I was working as well with you in the preparation of these problems to solve. So we will come to the team with the problem to solve and sometimes some design already prepared and everything.
Oh, sometimes like go-to solutions really.
Exactly. A lot of times very well defined, exactly the elements and everything. And then from there we will start working on the actual implementation with the developers. And then from my side, I would need to work together with the developers again, adjusting and changing a bit the design.
Reverse engineering, really. It's like, okay, is this possible? Can we do this and things like this?
Exactly, because of technical limitations, things that will take a lot of time. This is a classic as well with the designer. Like I design first, then I go to developer, and then I need to change everything. So. I mean, in a way, it was working. We were working, but for me, it was not perfect because I was producing a big amount of. Sorry, Siri is like waking up in my watch. Yeah. Okay, so a lot of times, I was producing a big amount of design because I was producing design during the discovery, during the kind of definition of the tasks, then with the developers. Big amount of work. Which I only realized I was doing a lot afterwards when I changed. You can do it so much less. And then another thing, one sec. So we were a big team. You would bring different problems to the team, and after that, team would generate the task and kind of organize himself on doing the things. And my feeling was that we will be starting different projects at a time, and sometimes some of them will be never finished.
True, and a lot of stuff ended like this, never finished, just because it was taking more and more time, and never seeing the finish line. That's true. That was also happening. So we had those problems, right? So we've been overproducing in times. Maybe sometimes we had problems with estimations and when to ship and how to collaborate. And then we read the book. So what changed in our minds? I can start. So the first change is the shape up says that let's treat the project the scope is variable and the time is fixed. So let's time box whatever we want to build, and then let's try to find the best solution within this given time. Which is interesting because, yes, of course, we've been giving ourselves infinite timelines because, you feel a bit more comfortable whenever there is no time pressure. And we believe that, hey, everybody here is entrepreneurs, so they want to build good products. So everybody going to be building it as fast as possible so we can afford infinite timelines. But adding this time box felt interesting because it's you really need to focus in order to ship some solution within this given time period. So that was the first thing that really interested me and got me hooked into the book to read the whole thing to understand how you can use it. And then I would say there are a few interesting concepts there. So let's maybe go there.
Explain a bit kind of what's the framework.
So let's start somewhere. It's always a problem with cycles because you need to start somewhere and it's a cycle, so it makes sense at the end, no? So let's maybe start with the cycle itself. So what the development team does and how different it is from Scrum. So it is kind of similar in the meaning that the basic development time is called cycle and it takes 6 weeks. There are few different reasons why it's 6 weeks, but feels like this is the period in time in which you can, be faced with the problem, start thinking about the solution, and then ship the solution to production. And then, of course, marketing and other things that are needed for some products can happen later. But you have 6 weeks long sprint, let's say. And inside that sprint, what's different than in Scrum is the team doesn't really work on projects or tasks or defined solutions, right? So the main idea is that the team is working on on finding solutions to problems. The initial element that the team gets is not list of tasks. It's not list of use cases. It's something called pitch. I will tell you in a minute who produces those pitches. But such a pitch, just contains boundaries for a team to explain them, hey, this is the problem we want to build, and it's for this type of a users or customers, and we want it or we don't want it to do more or less that stuff. So allow customers to solve the given problem. And then the team is actually given with the task to find solution to this problem.
Exactly. And normally the pitch kind of includes like a high level solution, like more or less where in the system, which parts we don't want to touch.
Exactly.
So it's a bit like,
the book describes it as, after reading a pitch, the team should have this feeling of like, okay, I know what to do with it. Like you look at it and you're like, okay, I know what I can build from this. It's really important. We found it like after 3 cycles to not include too much solution. So it's really thinking about the boundaries, not what you want to build or what your idea to build a solution. It's more to explain really understand the use case beneath the feature the team gonna build. So the team has those pitches and then they spend some time on it. What's this time? Actually in ShapeUp it's called appetite instead of estimation. So the difference is when you estimate, it's a question to the dev team of like, hello, I would like this thing to be shipped. How much time it will take you to give me this thing? Which is super prone to biases. It's super easy to, some people will try to please someone that's asking because they believe he or she has some power or whatever. So it's,
And even if you want to be realistic, when making estimations in technology is sometimes super difficult because you find a lot of unknowns during the way, and then estimation is never correct.
Yeah, exactly. So estimation is not the best. And what the book proposes is, they call it appetite. So basically the person writing a pitch, so thinking about this problem for a team to solve, needs to think about how much time he or she wants to invest into this problem. So how
impactful
or how valuable is the problem to the person writing a pitch.
Okay.
So it's like, if I believe this is gonna change like a phase of our company, yes, I want to invest more money or more time into it because I believe at the end of the day we're gonna gain even more. So instead of asking a team how much time it will be, it's more like for the person writing a pitch to say how much time he or she wants to invest. It's important because later at the end of the cycle, spoiler, if the team doesn't deliver whatever was the problem or we don't have a solution on the production, this doesn't mean team had a problem or maybe team had a problem, but usually it means like the appetite at the beginning was wrongly set. So you couldn't build a solution for a given problem in given time and things like this, or maybe you shouldn't be running cycle. In a minute, when you should run something with a cycle and which you shouldn't. So you have this team and they have a pitch. And could you tell me what you're doing? So what changed? Because normally you would have like sprint before we would be designing the go-to solution. Next sprint you would be coding that with developers, and then at some moment we would have it on production. So now the difference is like instead of solutions, I came more with the problems. I gave them to the team, and what happens then? Tell me.
So that's the biggest solution, and the biggest solution, the biggest difference because when the developer starts working, he doesn't have a design, which is it's never super common, right? So from day one, we are together, designer and developer. In our case, it's normally one designer, one front end, and one back end, more or less, and we don't have anything. So what we need to do at the beginning, or how we changed the design flow, was to start agreeing on the UX solution more like on a higher level, working with maybe higher level flows, checking in which part of the system it can go, what kind of solution can be at the same time, and also which part of the whole project we would like to attack first. So then we can start all working in parallel in a specific part or in a specific thing.
So you don't need to basically like build like 25 mock-ups of all of the interactions up front. You can start from one screen and then see if you're gonna have it, right?
Exactly.
Where to go further.
And normally, like on the ones we've done, we start with just paper wireframes. Like just draw them and just a flow, and with that normally developers already are ready to to start with something, to check the connections, to check how to implement in the system. So we start working from there.
That's cool. And then from that first step, what happens or what should happen, and it's different than in Scrum, because like in Scrum and everything else, you usually have a product owner, Scrum master, someone that helps you micromanage tasks, build them, move them through the board, things like this. And in ShapeUp, we do it a bit differently, no? Do you want, or shall I? You do the tasks much more often than me. I'm just watching them now.
Okay, so, I can. So with this, imagine we start having this first screen in wireframes or flows and stuff. So we start creating, which is called the scopes, which are like the smaller parts we could ship independently of this project, and we could move forward with them. And it's just us creating the tasks. So the front end, the back end, the designer together talking about what needs to be done, and just writing the tasks and also discovering the tasks on the go. So this is another difference. In Scrum or other methodologies, we assume we know everything from the beginning. So someone create a big long list of tasks, which is normally not correct.
Yeah, that's the theory behind those scopes. It's that, usually when you see the project and you have like 100 tasks at the beginning, or mid-project you created all of the tasks, you start judging a project by the how many of the tasks are done. But we know reality is you may be coding something and then you find out, oh, here's the problem. So this problem will create me 25 new tasks. So then your project, from being 10% done, it's like 50% done, like it jumps, and it's not really true. You cannot guess all of the questions or all the problems that you're gonna have. So what ShapeUp proposes is, as you said, creating those functional scopes at the beginning. So the team really can own the domain of a problem that they're working on, because they understand it, they can slice it, and actually the team decides what's going to be shipped and what's not from the solution, right? It's just whoever is building the pitch, he's just presenting a problem, and then the team decides if they are solving a problem and what the solution going to be. So you may have situations that some of the things just not going to be shipped because not fitting in the time, and that's super fine, and this can help you a bit, hopefully.
But the important thing here is that the team all the time needs to kind of be checking, like, if we ship this, are we solving the problem? So always going back, like, okay, but because sometimes in the conversation it's like, oh, but we could do this as well, or we could do this other thing, and what if we add that? But then, oh, but that might be a lot of work, and then we need to go back and it's like, okay, wait, what's the core problem we want to solve for the user? And then we kind of adjust the solution to that. And I super like this because it helps the team be more human-centered, because it's always like, okay, but what's the problem I'm solving for the user again and again? So,
you're less gonna over-engineer, you're not gonna start inventing new interactions out of the planet just because, well, you try to make it elegant and solve like super well-defined problem. So this is what happens inside the team.
The building cycle.
The building cycle. And then closer to the end of the cycle, there is something called, I forgot the name now.
Circuit breaker?
Circuit breaker, yes, exactly. So it's called this as, you have electric circle and you can break it, so then the current doesn't flow anymore through it. The idea is that, when you are running a project for 4 weeks, that's pretty cheap to say like, we need additional week, let's just add a week more and we're gonna finish. And then the reality is, from this 1 week you're gonna add like 2, maybe 2.5, and then your project from 4
then
is
someone
already
goes on holidays,
almost 7, and then you have summer, and then it's gonna be like 3 months. No, this does happen to us, this does happen to my friends. That's pretty normal, it's pretty okay. The problem with it does scale. So if you're having a project that you're running for 3 months, let's say, so you want to really go into something new, that's also easy to add an additional month to it and then make it a 6 months project. And then if you have enough number of those big projects ongoing that are, longer and longer, they actually overflow your system. So you're not agile anymore. You cannot react to anything because you have, I have this long project, but it's only 3 days to finish, and then I have this one that I already spent end months on and I need to finish it. So your system may overflow. So the ShapeUp says like, no, after a cycle, just cut it. If something is not on production, well, it's not on production. And then wait a bit, and then decide again if you really want to invest another cycle of time into the idea you're working. Because, even we had projects that we were running for 6 months, then we launched them, and then we found, they don't work. Like, sorry, guys, I will need to click computer from time to time so we have sound. So we had projects like this, and the Shape Up tries to block you from this. So it's like every 6 weeks you actually need to make a decision if you want to invest in something the next time. Well, yeah. So circuit breaker happens. This means the cycle ends. What happens then?
We go on holidays.
We go on holidays, kinda, no? So it's like, and I like this example is, so in Scrum we have sprints, right? So in real life, how many marathons you could run one after another?
Yeah. Like you would die.
Yeah, and in software development, we basically run sprint after sprint and after the sprint, and it's infinite. Of sprints.
The word sprint itself suggests it's super intensive.
You should run, because it's 2 weeks of intensive work. In our case, it's now 6, but it's super intensive work. So what Shape Up proposes is like, okay, so let's have 6 weeks of work and then 2 weeks of cool down. So you have this time of period whenever people can do whatever they believe they want to do for a company. So yes, we are all part of the company, but there are no team, no official backlog vision or anything for that time period. It's more like, if you go to developer and ask, hey, do you have an idea what to do I would give you now free time to do whatever project you want, they're gonna have a list of projects. Always in any tech company, there's something to refactor, some passion project to write, so 20% project, or someone just wants to do nothing. That's fine too. It's like you've been working a lot for 6 weeks. Now there are 2 weeks to cool down, not focus on any certain topic that's like, highly demanding from your brain or anything like this. So you can, I would say, chill out. We are still in work, so it's...
Yeah, but it's you can take like a bit your own rhythm and you choose your own projects, and maybe as well, for instance, in my case, if there's something you wanted to do for your team as well, so you can do that as well, or maybe check more the research, you're a bit behind the research from other teams, so stuff like that. That it's important, but... Yeah,
sometimes the dev team in our team is fixing like the stuff that was blocking in the previous cycle, so they know that the next cycle they can run smoother and things like this, so it's this time of hygiene. It's just like let's stop for a few days and have a chill out. And then after this cool down finishes, what happens is the betting table, no?
To start the next
cycle. So how do you start the next cycle? And maybe now it's a good idea to talk about from where the pitches come from. So the parallel track. So when the team is building inside the cycle, Meanwhile, in the parallel track, there are some people. In our case, it's me, Juncal, and few other people from research, data, and management, that we think about the main problems for us, for our goal or a vision for the next 6 weeks. I know it sounds crazy, but it's like we don't have a backlog, because the idea is backlogs are those long lists of stuff you're probably not gonna build. So the things that are on the bottom of your backlog, high chances you're never gonna build them, and they are always like haunting you from the past. So it's things that you already said yes to, that you promised that I'm gonna put it, because a lot of time for product owners or product managers, putting something in the backlog is this soft no. So it's like, hey, could you build it for me? And it's like, I'm gonna put it in the backlog and I'm gonna prioritize it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times this means like, bottom of backlog.
It's never gonna be
look
done.
at it. Yeah, exactly. So, and then it haunts, people can come and change the priorities and things like this. So, and through the 10 years I'm product manager, I can show you number of backlogs from number of teams that were never finished, even though there were amazing ideas somewhere, they were just never prioritized. So, the team and the product owner always will influence the priority in their own backlog. So
why
to even keep this list?
True. And it's also stressful, at least for me it is. Like whenever you open whatever tool you have the backlog, it's like, oh my god, so many things we have, we're never gonna end. So,
And then, being agile is also starts to be hard, because whenever you see something new, cool opportunity, you think like, oh, but we have already like 120 elements in the backlog. How to even try to ship it so it's still relevant, because there are things that are relevant now, not necessarily in 6 months. So what Shapeup promotes is that during the development cycle, people are shaping, so trying to build those pitches. There's a set of techniques that you can use from Basecamp to make sure that the pitch gonna be good. Let's say we'll not go and cover all of them right now, but I really recommend reading a book, and it's online for free, so you can read it if you're interested.
And super easy to read,
super well written. You can read it in few evenings. But you have set of those techniques to make the pitch. But what's important there is we tried to do pitches for things that we didn't really understood, and it was impossible. So it was impossible to write a pitch and say like, hey, those are the boundaries, because you don't really know what are the boundaries, or why do you really believe it's a problem. So it's really nice and interesting technique to really think through the problem you want to solve, and do you really want to solve it. And sometimes you will, like, going through the process, you can find out, I don't want to invest time into it. Like, this feels like maybe that's not that sexy as I believed initially. So it removes a lot of your own biases from the brain, and it's designed that way. So we create all of those pitches during the, like, in parallel to the cycle, trying to understand the use cases fully. And we try to do the appetites there by assigning like how much time would we like to invest into the given topic.
Checking with developers.
Exactly, doing like we do some market feasibility. So I personally try to check at least the numbers, if there's some addressable market, or is this real problem, or we just invented that. And then we try to check with developers if like this is feasible, and if this estimation is not estimation appetite.
The appetite.
It's only 6 months. So we check if this appetite makes sense, and if there are like possibilities for them to run there. Meaning, like, if we would need to create new infrastructure, this may take more than 3 weeks. We may not be able to do it. So maybe let's plan it a bit differently. So we check things like this. One more thing here, because for the listeners or viewers actually to know, is like we changed a bit how we use the base Shapeup. So we extended the frameworks a bit. So we changed the bits and pieces. So in the book, it is actually a management of Basecamp making this, like senior management or strategists are doing the pitches, and then the betting table is done at the C-level. In our case, we have a bit bigger company than Basecamp, so that's one problem to make it on C-level. But then the other thing is, like, we truly believe in democracy and transparency in the team. So the shaping track is by design. It's me, you, research, data. But anybody from the team can come and create a pitch. If not on the pitching track, shaping track, we can do it during the cooldown. And we're running few pitches that were created by not me. So that's always good. So the idea, because I want to come back to this not having a backlog idea. So basically, it's like you don't have a backlog because you have a group of passionate people that are domain experts. So, every 6 weeks of a cycle, you learn new problems from our customers and how you solve them. So while doing this, I believe we are able to identify the most important things that are next for us. So those are the 6 weeks. And if something is not important, I and the creators of the book believe that, hey, nobody gonna come with it. And if someone is really passionate about it, he or she will bring it back and say like, no guys, it's like that now's the time. What's important is to create the space when that's fine. So someone should be able to come and say like, I want my refactoring now, and stop. Yes, you promised me, this is the moment we're doing it. And then it's super fine. It's important for a team or a product to do. So we have the shaping, maybe someone from the team helps us, we have the pitches, And then we do the betting table.
Yeah, because we generate more pitches than what we can build normally.
Yeah,
right?
usually, we have more ideas than whatever we can do in one cycle, so we need to pick. And then again, inside the book, this is done by the management and the C-level. In our case, it's the whole team that meets together. And then we place bets on the pitches we have. So basically we have pitches, and what the book says and what I believe is important is if you look at the pitch, it's like a bet. So if you go for it, you will see the reality on the other end, whatever it's written in the pitch, why we want to solve the problem. If you lose it, you're gonna waste whatever is the appetite for it. So you're personally gonna also lose like 6 weeks, let's say, for something that's not gonna be shipped, but you designed it and it's like, or you shipped it and it does nothing. So it's like, oh, we lost this bet. But it's a bet.
It's a bet, yeah.
So that's the idea for the betting table, is like everybody inside the team that's gonna be wasting this time meets, and every one of us can make a bet on any of the pitches. And then we just pick the ones that got the most bets.
Like the most voted.
The most voted ones. And then we try to roll with them. The perfect thing here is, and it did happen in our betting tables, was like, okay, but what's the purity?
Yeah, this is super interesting.
Or like, which one is more important? And my answer always is like, they're the same purity. Like during the last 6 weeks, we identified that those are the top needed things for us as a team. So it's like whatever you're gonna pick gonna be impactful.
But then it's interesting because it opens the conversation for the team that before wasn't there. Like, how much important is this going to be for our users and for our product, and why is this even here? So before you were just giving a task or a project and you would do it. Now you start asking questions as a team, and this is super interesting. And
I like it because every betting table, it's like, I'm betting on like, maybe that's gonna be the result, or maybe that's gonna be the result. And usually it's like something in between the results I was thinking, because, even though someone feels like this is important, then during the conversation you mentioned, this may totally change, and they may find out that, hey, let's not build this initial thing. We were thinking that this pitch, like we had it. We was once in a time we voted, and then the people were saying like, no. Let's talk and vote again. So
like, why did we choose this one, and why this and why that, and then we kind of changed that.
So it's much more educated discussion, I would say. Like, those were the discussions we finally had that are always described in those books about being Scrum, Agile, and things like this. Of like, then the collaboration on the cross team, like cross-functional team, gonna happen, things like this. I really started seeing them like in the book the moment we started having those discussions. Like, why is it there? Is it really important? Hey, I personally don't believe it is important. Those are really nice discussions to have with the team.
And also then afterwards, like, the team is so much more committed to it because they chose it for a reason. So the feeling is different. There's more ownership and more commitment.
And even from management perspective, it's much better. So we didn't mention this. So for example, I always hated dailies. I believe they are micromanagement invented only to micromanage people inside the team. Like, I truly don't believe they have a lot of informational value for everybody. So, and then I was biasing the team for all of it. And we don't have them inside the team. And would you say we have problem with the communication? Not really.
No, because there's this commitment that the team has, like, hey, we need to do this, we pick this project, let's start. So it's the people themselves, the team themselves, like, hey, let's think, how are you doing with this? Are you blocked? Can I help you? So it's just inside the team, it's happening naturally. And
you don't need to have like a meeting set up every day for everybody from the team, which is kind of big, to talk about all of their problems, to understand. You have it like, pushed by the framework itself. So, and
then only if there's really like a business question, we don't know the answer, then we can come up to product manager, and then, but those are just specific moments. So
and then the team, as you say, is like super autonomous in shipping and building the whole solution. There is two super important things that are happening inside the shape up that we didn't mention. So people may ask like, okay, so you have 6 weeks, but what's up with the bugs and the meetings that the people will have, and do you have this meeting and that meeting and other meeting? And then the whole beauty of it is like there's no more meetings. Like I described all of the meetings inside the framework. It's a betting table, and of the meetings that are officially needed for the team to run it. So on the betting table we need to synchronize, but aside from that, the contract between the team members is like we should put 100% of the focus inside the batch. So whatever we picked, we should be working only on that. So we shouldn't be doing side projects. We shouldn't be helping answering questions from people and things like this. At the same time, we are nice and adults, so we know it's not that anybody micromanages anyone. It's just, hey, let's more time you can put into the batch, let's do it. Which is nice, at least for me, and for I know that for the dev team also is nice, because then you don't need to think like how to split your day. You can actually spend like 3 days just doing like one thing and not listening to all of the noise outside and
receiving requests from outside like, hey, can you change this? What about this noise? Is like you just focus on one thing, and you're sure that at the end you will shift something, or at least make a decision on that. It's not like before, like this is never ending. You never know when it's gonna end.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. Yeah. And then with the bugs, because every company on the planet that builds software gonna have bugs. So the book proposes to, fix them in a cooldown, and actually Basecamp does something like at the end of the year, the last cycle is a bug smashing cycle. So end of the year, it's like summer. Nobody really wants to be too much into the work, so they just limit that time to work on bugs. In our case, we weren't that lucky. We cannot move it for the 6 weeks, so for now we keep like 1 day a week, right? Mondays are for bugs. It's fine. I mean, what's interesting is that we do burn like easier tasks that can be burned into 1 day. They are burned in this 1 day. Obviously there's a lot of bugs that cannot be fixed in 1 day, or you need some investigation. But what this allowed us to do finally is like, if you have this list of bugs that is growing, you start seeing patterns. Yeah. Like super fast. You see like, okay, so this is like the 7th tasks about this. And I need to give them to developers on Monday. It's like, shall I give them 7 different tasks, or maybe let's spend some time and think like, what's the root cause there? Like, exactly. What's happening? Can we maybe pitch something to fix it in the next cycle, or maybe during the cooldown we can, fix 2 things or change something with someone to just eliminate the whole group of bugs. Of course, this depends on like kinds of bugs you have, SLAs that you offer to your customers and things like this. We are lucky enough that we can run it this way and then just, be able to group it and just attack later. Like the bigger problems can be attacked from one thing. When, in opposite to that, before the shape up, we've been doing like in parallel to whatever. So you had bugs, right? After every day, we got assigned bugs and people were burning bugs in parallel. And then, we burned hundreds of bugs until we found like, hey, I'm fixing the same thing for the 25th time. Like, this is bad. I shouldn't be doing that. But if you're doing a project and then some bugs, and then maybe this kind of a bug gonna get to you like every 3 days, it's gonna take you time to notice. And if they are there and you just do it once a week, and it's like, maybe this file starts to grow and there may be something in it. So it's it worked okay for us, right? Like, so at the beginning they were piling up, but then we kind of improved a lot. So when we were able to remove them. Yeah, basically we entered, I would say that we entered the first cycle with too many bugs on the plate. And then they were hitting us on the back. But the good thing was that when we finished the first cycle, we've been able to identify those big reasons of why we are so slow. We removed them during the cooldown, and then the next cycles are pretty smooth, and we are on company average number of bugs, let's call it this way, and then it's democratic. So nice. So, we're doing good now. Yeah, we are. Yes. Yeah. So, are there any other parts of the shape up that
Those
you
are the
have?
parts. We kind of added another one, right?
Yeah.
So you're building, you're shaping, but normally there's like another part where you try to discover the next problem to solve for the next area, right?
Yeah. And we call it Umbrella Labs.
Umbrella Labs, yeah.
Because our team is called Umbrella Gang, so we have laboratories too. Don't ask what we are building in those laboratories or cooking, but aside from cooking, we are also trying to discover stuff. So, So we are always in discovery. People in Umbrella Labs or shaping are basically the same people, but I keep them as mental concepts that are a bit different. It's just, we have a product researcher that can make us like a bit more broader research.
Exactly.
So inside the cycle, we are working on like super specific problem to solve. But in Umbrella Labs, we are thinking like few steps behind. So it's like, okay, so what do you do, doctors?
Exactly.
And this is one of the questions we ask. So each other, it's like, what do you do in general? Oh, this looks interesting. And then we try to find those next topics that may become pitches at some moment.
What could be next opportunity, maybe,
Exactly.
but super open, just discovering. Yeah.
Exactly. And then, and sometimes like some validations or some weird tests here and there. Now we also are including a lot of data to everything that we are trying to find as the patterns or solution for the future. So it's like Umbrella Labs is for me this, Project X from Google, like this R&D group that just plays around and tries stuff with doctors and customers and looks around what can be potentially later interesting for us, while whatever is happening in the cycle is like already went through Umbrella Labs, then someone triple times talked to the customers and scaled if this can be solved, and then we shaped this into, hey, this is a problem we want to solve to the customer.
And we shape it with answers to all the questions in a way.
Exactly.
So then when you're building, if you have a question, there is an answer for it because we already worked on the research.
So you may imagine that inside Umbrella Labs we keep asking questions, and then as a sub-answer you're like, oh, now I understand something. Like I asked enough questions to now understand the whole problem. Fine. Now's the moment to start pitching that to someone.
To shape
So
it, And during these 6 months, what do you think were like the biggest challenges when implementing, or the things we didn't get right the first time, maybe?
So bugs for sure took us a bit. I guess it is important to change the mindset, but it's natural. It takes time. So for me, always tempting to name everything that's small, and my appetite is super small. Build me everything smallest time possible.
This is just a button.
Please believe me, it's gonna be just a button. So that was problem always. And then the mindset shift for the team. It's this. You are responsible for a solution, but you're not responsible for a success of that solution or successful shipping of that solution. So it's this discussion between like, hey, I'm just making a pitch and I have appetite there, and you as a team need to build a solution for that problem, but not necessarily exactly what I wrote. That's the difference.
That's difficult. No,
you're the owners. It's like I'm just telling you, people like ice creams. Doesn't mean you need to start building ice cream truck or factory of ice creams. Maybe there is other solution. Maybe you just need like a convenience store and sell to people ice creams, not really producing them. But that's the difference. So, before when I was coming with solution more or like some ideas about the solution, it was okay, so we have this, let's make it doable more. Now it was like with Juncal we've designed this thing based on feedbacks and research with the customers. Can we build it? No. Okay. Reshaped. Can we build this? Yes. Okay, let's build it. And now it's different way around. So it's like, hey guys, we have customers that would like to do this. Could you solve it? And then you're responsible for solving it. So you can either solve it and say, hey, we were not able to find a solution at a given time, and this is the discussion. And I know it sounds easy, but it takes 6 months. At least in our case, it was a process, and it's still something we need to remember.
And this shift of mindset, I always see it was a challenge inside the team. So in a way, the team inside the building cycle, we were used to like preparing a long list of tasks in advance and then just do them and not have the full scope. So you could tell us, you could see at the beginning the people, instead of, okay, let's try to find the solution on a higher level, just preparing the long list of tasks and then going through them. And then sometimes it could happen that at the end of the cycle you would discover something that, okay, I should have like had a look to this before because I'm the owner and I should have like the global vision of it.
It happened to us now. It's like with one of the cycles, I prepared the pitch that was impossible to do. I mean, the solution that I proposed inside the pitch, wrongly that I proposed a solution, was impossible.
But that's fine. There was like a suggestion in the pitch, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is that inside the team, we were like with the old mindset, assuming that the solution that you thought for us was perfect. And we didn't realize until the end, like, it's not gonna technically work. Like, it's absolutely impossible.
It's impossible,
And we should have like had this mindset of ownership, like, okay, let's rethink it. Let's see if that's the best solution or not. So that's a thing that takes time. And then... the thing, what would be the other?
In our case, it's also like the time, so we actually prolonged a bit everything. So in the book, there are two types of the appetites you can have. So it's a small and big one. Small by the book, it's 2 weeks, and then big one is 6 weeks. What it gives you is like within the cycle, you can run either 3 small ones or 1 big one or any other combination depending on your number of the dev teams and things like this. In our case, we have small batch is 3 weeks because we found that 2 weeks is too small amount for us to be able to ship to production. And then we also are like prolonging the cooldowns. Also, we're making them like recently, all of them were 3 weeks instead of 2. And it also felt good or enough for a team to cool down, work a bit on bugs, but also spend some time on like whatever we really wanted, and not just like have this moment of like, okay, so I finished the cycle, now bugs, okay, new cycle. So it's like we really wanted to have this, aside from bugs, like chill out, really calm down for 5 minutes. That's really nice.
And another thing I think we found a bit challenging during the times was finding the right level of abstraction of the solution in the pitches, right?
Yeah.
So we had examples from everything. Like some of them were super defined, the solutions.
We had one with full prototype, no?
Yeah. One of the first ones, we had an old prototype, like fully designed with final UI. Let's use it, right? Yeah. And the moment we had the full prototype from before, it wasn't shape up. So it was just like executing. So it's not worth it. And then there was another occasion where the solution was too abstract. Like there was not enough boundaries or guidelines in the pitch, and it was good, like the team found a super nice solution, but we spent like half of a week trying to figure it out. So then you're running out of time, right? So finding exactly the right level was a bit of a challenge.
And I would say it's still up to this point. Like I don't feel yet my pitches are the best ones, but we're slowly getting there. And with every new person trying to write pitches, it's like we're adjusting this level a lot, like or making this like shared knowledge about, does this feel now abstract enough? Because it's not something I would say it's easy to explain or extract and say like this is the level of abstraction in it. Exactly. It's more like after a few you just start feeling of like, no, I'm going in too much details, like stop now, or I'm like, oh, not enough boundaries, like they can go somewhere. And this is a part of this shaping process that the book really goes through, like different techniques you can use, and they're there for you to help to find something that are called rabbit holes. So those are the things that book mentions them as the things that the team can go on for a week to discuss, and they may not be important to the project or may hurt the project in a way that you may not be able to ship it within the time because you've spent too much time doing it. So it's always this balance, and it's like, every process, it's constant optimization, constant improvement. So with every cycle, hopefully we are getting a bit better with it.
Yeah, but we're sticking with it for now.
Of course. I'm like, personally I love it. I do believe the team is also happy. super story. And then some of the other teams even in our company are using it, so that's also interesting that you can spread it and people are happy with it. It's not that we are the weird ones only. So.
We are the weird ones, but
but not the only ones. So
but not the only ones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, is this all that we had to tell about the Shape Up?
I think we made a super good summary. I don't know. Although I could spend like 2 more hours talking about it.
Hopefully there's gonna be comments or questions or anything. Like anybody listening or viewing, feel free to contact us either through comment section or emails or Twitter that we're gonna have at the end of this amazing video later. And I guess thank you very much. Thank you. Juncal, for today.
Super nice one.
Thank you for watching to the first video episode.
Yes.
Hopefully you liked our faces. And see you around in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, see you around. Bye.
Yeah, bye.